Welcome to With You Podcast,
where we explore relationships and life transitions.
I'm David.
And I'm Tara.
And I thought I would start today off singing for you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because we're doing things that are annoying. Now, I had a song. It was like a Sesame Street song, but now I've forgotten it.
Okay.
I could do Jesus wants me for a sunbeam.
So you're trying to start by annoying me?
Yeah, I thought that would be a great, or just annoying the listeners, everybody out there.
I thought tuneless humming. So if we want to think about lists of, this is going to be interesting. So we decided to talk today about things that annoy us.
Yes.
Because I don't know why. I think we were talking about something that was annoying, and we started to I thought of something that was kind of getting me a little, stirred up.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of our children and saying, you're less annoyable than I am, which is a good characteristic.
Your children or me? You were talking to our children.
About you.
About me.
Being less annoyable.
Yeah.
Like you don't have a long list of things that annoy you. And unfortunately, we stirred up that nest because I said, I bet we can think of things that annoy you.
Yeah.
And once we got talking about it, then we made a list.
It was a great lunch date. We had so much fun. It was how about this? Does this annoy you? And it's like, oh, well, yes, I guess I am. But it was an interesting conversation because we were talking about a continuum.
Yes.
Because I didn't know, annoy.
Well, because when we
angry,
right,
and
that's the question. Because when we started to talk, I said, I bet you're more annoyed than you say you are about things. And once we started to sort of explore that, the things you were mentioning are things that I think tip you beyond annoyance.
Yeah, I get angry. Yeah.
And that's not where we're trying to go today.
No,
we're trying to go in those little things that annoy you.
Yeah, this is just the annoying.
I don't know if we have any solution to offer as far as how to be less annoyed.
I know, because that's what I thought. It was not even how to be less annoyed, of how do we handle it well in our relationship when that comes. And, the thing that came to mind was giggling.
I know. I think we have, in our later years of marriage, we've gotten better at just having a good sense of humor about all of it and not being annoyed by each other's annoyances.
No, but also you don't want to giggle so much that you push that person past annoyance into anger. So there's all this complicated pieces about being or not being annoying.
Okay, about being annoying. That's the whole other thing.
That's a spiritual gift of mine. But no, just kind of being annoyed where there's things that just bother you, but it's not like going to ruin your day.
Yeah.
But it just makes you go,
Well, and honestly, don't you think that's often the impetus for arguments?
Yeah.
Is just annoyances, right? That aren't huge things, but they can just get you just upset enough that it turns into
a good old fight,
a conflict.
Well, yeah, and we talked about this in a presentation we did. 67, almost 70% of marital fights are continuous, there's no resolution, and I think a lot of them are just annoyance of I'm already a little bit out of sorts, and then this thing happens, and how you respond.
I don't think the research says what the subject of those fights were, but that's from John Gottman's research, right? That almost 70% of marital arguments are unsolvable, meaning you won't find a solution that is completely pleasing to both people. It's going to be a disagreement that keeps coming up.
Yeah. Don't you think annoyances are that though?
Yeah.
I mean, they're little things that don't go away. They're just kind of quirks.
Yeah.
Or situations. So
yeah.
Anyway, maybe at the end we can have ways that you handle these little life annoyances, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is for us just to share,
just air our grievances.
I think.
Yeah. So if you don't want to hear it, tune out now. But I think it might be interesting.
Yeah, you'll get to know us a lot better.
Yeah.
There was the Seinfeld episode of the Festivus, the holiday that they had, and they had a Festivus poll where it was the yearly airing of grievances. And so that's kind of
Maybe
like
that's what this
we're
is.
going to be doing
Yeah.
is
So we limited ourselves. We're going to list things that really annoy us, but
right.
we're limiting it to our top 5 if we can.
Yeah, we'll see. If that gets too annoying, we'll stop and just be done. So sometimes, yeah. So who should start? Like,
You have one
I
that's you're
don't know.
burning to talk
All
about?
of a sudden, I'm nervous
You're
about doing
nervous?
this. I feel like
I'll go because I honestly think I tend to be annoyed more often. Small things annoy me and I keep them to myself. Most of the time, I keep them to myself.
I know you should have higher blood pressure.
And the first one's probably like anyone who knows me would probably not be surprised. Because I was an editor, I'm an English person, I'm a words person. So errors in grammar, spoken or written, can really bother me.
I've never seen you lose your mind so much as I forget, we were at church somewhere not around our normal place, and there was a misspelling
Oh,
in the
especially
singing,
when
like
it's
the song.
when it's printed and put up on the screen, there's no excuse for that. And let me just say, I don't hold this against people because I know people get really annoyed with people like me who they think are using a red pen all over their spoken word. And it's not like that. It's just there's certain things that are common mistakes in the English language with the way we say or spell things that are just get repeated that really irk me.
Yeah. I think I learned that because a lot of those things are verbally said in Western Michigan, where I grew
The
up.
ones
Like
you wrote down that you thought were my things are not the thing. They just are the ones that I sort of
when I say
verbally correct you on.
when I say across the street,
You add a T
yeah,
at the end of across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's across. You don't say no anymore. You just say across. And I'm like, across.
Yeah, yeah.
We have that moment. But what type? So like,
Well,
just
I'll tell you my top one.
yeah.
My top one is sneak peek. This is used often in social media or like marketing things for saying, we're going to give you a sneak peek
Oh, sure.
into this new promotion or this.
SNEEKPEEK, right? Sneak.
Don't do this to me. So this one just like there's no reason why people can't get this right. Sneak has an E and an A. Peak has 2 E's, unless you're talking about a mountaintop. So if
I spelled it the other way when I wrote it out with 2 E's and an E and A.
A.
So S.
If you sneak up on someone,
it's not EE.
It's not EE. So when it's so often used in social media and it's so often spelled wrong, one or the other is spelled wrong, and it drives me bananas. Like if that's in a promotional, I am instantly done. It's off the table. I'm not going to that event. I don't know why. I
think we're going to get a lot of comments. Like, hey, I want to give you a sneak peek.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah. So it's irrational. It shouldn't make me that upset. It just is like because it's done so often and it's an easy fix.
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and it's fascinating because none of that, like, I just skim over words.
No, I know. It doesn't matter to you how it's spelled.
I know what it's
like
meant.
you know what the meaning is, so why does it matter?
Yeah. And you're like, no, it matters.
It matters.
One is like a mountain peak and the other is a little peak. And I'm like, well, you know what it means. It reminds me of when we lived cross-culturally, some of the languages I would try to speak and I would be close and then just be like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're saying. And I'm like, but this French word is close enough. And it's like, no. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know that me being annoyed by that is also annoying to people, but it just really, the thing that's reassuring to me is that all 4 of our children are similar. So if we're in church and something comes up on the screen and there's a blatant misspelling in a hymn or in a whatever.
Santa is spelled the wrong way.
We all look at each other like it's just, I'm glad that they see things the same way.
Yeah.
We don't call it, we're not the type of people that will write a letter of complaint to,
no,
it's just like we notice it.
It doesn't cross that line for you. It's just an annoyance.
It's just an annoyance. I'm not going to call people out on it. I'm not going to, except you occasionally.
I know. When you said, I'm not going to use a red pen and write, I had a physical reaction because early in our relationship, you were being so helpful.
Well, you asked me to edit your papers. So you're welcome for helping you pass your master's program.
I appreciate it now. But I didn't quite understand what I was asking. So sometimes you ask for things and you don't exactly know what you're asking for. That might be an annoyance for me.
That is true. It was kind of a mortal wound in our relationship when I edited your papers.
Yeah. No,
I tried to be kind, but there was a lot of pen. And let me just, for the record, in your mind, it was red.
That paper bled.
I never used red because it does have that visceral reaction, but there was a lot of marking.
So just so you can picture this, it looked like an Rorschach ink blot when I got my paper back. It was, and none of it, like all the comments you made were appropriate. It was just the quantity that was an ego injury.
Well, and I learned how to word editing suggestions differently when I worked at a local publishing house. I worked for 10 years.
Yeah.
And you always wrote things as a query, not as this,
this doesn't make sense. I believe those are the ones that were painful. Maybe. Like, I don't understand what you're saying here.
Yeah, but that was a question, sort of.
No, that was okay. Okay, let's breathe.
I know.
Back in our zone.
I think we're both going to get a little activated in this episode.
I know our son's going to have to tune down all the loud on the speakers. So my first one, talking about tuning down and loud, is when we're watching a sporting event or a TV show, we turn it up because it's hard to hear. Maybe that's because we're getting older.
Yeah.
But then it cuts to commercial and the decibel loudness is so much higher. It drives me crazy because it goes from you're straining to hear and then it cuts to commercial and they're screaming at you in terms of volume.
Yeah.
That is
commercials
annoying.
Being a lot, which also bleeds over into annoyance with the rest of the family because you are the holder of the remote
as it should be.
You control the TV. And often if let's say you're watching said sporting event and you decide a commercial's coming soon and you get up to go, pour a cup of tea or something, and you leave your remote in some unreachable place for the rest of us. And then that commercial volume goes up and the rest of us are going, come back here and turn it down.
Please give us the remote when you leave the room.
When you leave the room.
Yeah. But that one gets me, and I understand the marketing, and that's what makes it right at the edge of annoyance to anger for me because they're doing that on purpose.
Well, they get your attention.
Right? Like that's on purpose. Yeah, but it doesn't make me now want to buy their material. It makes me want to boycott them. So, if you're out there and you're a TV ad exec,
I'm sure they're all listening.
Yes, please turn it down.
Turn it down.
Just so because I find that in therapy sometimes when couples are loud and fighting, if I get quieter, they pay much more attention than if I match their level of intensity. So maybe commercials should be quieter.
Yeah, there've been some marketing campaigns that have used that very effectively, where they do silence and just and you kind of look to see what you're missing and you get the message.
I would much rather that than the loud. So the loudness is
okay. Well, does that lead to my number 2? Because this one I feel kind of bad for saying.
This is about me.
Well, mostly. So this is audible breathing and sniffing, like people making noises that Ooh. And I think this was highlighted for a lot of people during COVID when people were stuck all inside a smaller space together. It was highlighted for all of us during COVID because we were all in our small living room all day, every day.
Well, and I don't know what it is, but like when I'm thinking,
I know.
I breathe.
It's
it's weird. When you want me to stop breathing, it makes me a little uncomfortable.
It's really hard to say something. We just stop breathing. That's not nice.
It's not nice.
No, but when you, so for you, it happens in church too, because when you're thinking hard,
I'm deeply present.
Well, okay. But there's a difference in your audible nasal breathing. It's just like because it goes with something that happens in your brain. Yeah, you don't need to demonstrate.
Yeah. Oh, look at how tense you got. Isn't that cute?
No. But yeah, it happens where we can even hear you from the because when you're from the kitchen, I'll complete that thought.
Yeah.
When you're doing the dishes and listening to a podcast, which is often what you do.
Yeah, and I'm way into it.
And you're really listening and interacting in your brain with it. From the other room, we can hear you breathing. And we know it's because you're thinking and you've got something, you've got headphones on, so you're not aware. But yeah, that one, I have worked so hard to not, because it's not anything that's your fault or that's wrong.
I'm doing it on purpose, but
I'll just try to not say anything, and then eventually in church sometimes I'll give you a little nudge and you're like, what, am I breathing?
That's right.
I'm sure couples can relate.
Maybe it's the Holy Spirit. We don't want to
hinder the Holy Spirit. No.
But yeah, I realize that I find myself either it's intense, I'm holding my breath, and then I take a audible breath, there's something.
It matches something with your thinking.
Yeah. So I either have to stop thinking or stop breathing.
No.
Well, and it gets me annoyed because I can tell, like, even now, like, I'd much rather you say it now, like, hey, breathing, because I can see you struggling to, like, how do I communicate it without being offensive in communicating it? And so then that just makes me irked.
Right. And it happens if we're working in the same room. We're both working.
Or at the library.
There's quiet.
Yep.
The room is quiet, but we're both immersed in our laptops or our work or whatever. And I'm the type of person that needs quiet to work. A lot of our kids need ambient noise.
Yeah,
and I think you work that way too.
Yeah.
Like you need music or the TV in the background or some other sound that you have to tune out so you can focus.
Yeah.
For me, all the other noises are too distracting, and then it takes me out of my thought process. So that kind, like if we're in a quiet room, hearing the noises you make while you're working is too much. It's too much for me.
Then you can't work.
Yeah.
So we need to have separate workspaces. And maybe separate pews at church.
No.
So if you see us at church and we're sitting in separate pews,
I know. I feel bad.
Figure this out.
I know people will. I know. I feel like my annoyances are sort of petty, but it's just the way I'm made.
I'm not upset by it. So everybody doesn't need to be upset at Tara for me.
Thankfully, you're less annoyable.
Yeah, and it doesn't annoy me. It's just it's how we navigate life, and we find it funny. And I try. It's not. I mean, I try to avoid doing that, not try to annoy you.
But like as we're saying with all these things, these fall in the level of annoyance for us, and really don't escalate into anger or fights.
Right. And we see it mostly as our issue, than the
as
other
our own
issue,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Because both of those things, talking about grammar and talking about my breathing,
it's not anybody intentionally trying to harm you or annoy you.
Yeah.
So a lot for me, if we're talking about solutions, is really going back to like, okay, how do I remove myself from this situation? It's not the other person's fault or intention.
Yeah.
Right. So and how do I not like? Yeah, I don't write letters.
If I get a letter, dear David, stop breathing.
No.
Love, Tara. All right, let's move on.
Okay,
Let's
yes,
move on
please do.
because it's only my number two.
Yeah, let's go.
So having the headphones in, I love clean. Like we talked about, I love doing the dishes.
I love that about you.
I enjoy vacuuming, dusting, sweeping. Those things are nice. It's the thing that annoys me is you have to do it like every day.
Yeah. Many times a day.
So it happens way too regularly. And we joked about this last night. So I spent, about 3 different cycles of doing dishes last night and then went to bed and got up this morning, and no fault of anybody's because everybody has to make their breakfast, make their lunch. But at 7:30, when everybody leaves home for work, there's a pile of dishes in the sink,
completely full.
and my thought is, oh, I get to do dishes. But then there's also part of me is like, for the love, like how can it not stay clean for
the repetitive nature? I get it.
Yeah. It just, it feels like, I'm in Ibsen's Waiting for Godot. Like it's the same thing over and over and over again. It's not bad, but it's the repetition that at some point I just say something, or I think I come out now and giggle a little bit. And you know that when I giggle, it's usually a problem. That's
beyond the annoyance.
That's my response to pain.
To a larger pain
is just finding a giggle about it, because like if I'm annoyed, I'll just be like, but when I giggle and I'm like...
No, and I appreciate that you've taken over that task, because in the early days when you were at work all day and I had the kids, I was doing all those things. I think that's of any stay-at-home parent, that becomes like just this hell that you live in of repeating the same thing over and over and over again. A saying that somebody told me when our 4 kids were small was, cleaning the house while the children are growing is like shoveling while it's still snowing.
Oh, that's a nice
I liked
little
that
poem.
because it was like, that is so true. It just repeats itself.
And that annoys me too. I'll shovel and get it so nice, and by the time I turn around and come in, there's already a thin coat of snow back down. So that's a really good...
I get it. That's annoying, and it's never ending.
I know. Well, and it's the one area in my life that I can actually see results, and then they go away so fast. I'm like, can I have a little bit longer of something clean?
Yeah.
So that's a silly one. And I don't have any solution for it other than the perpetual...
It's relatable.
The perpetual dirt.
Yeah. Well, and my number 3 is similar to that. It's clutter. But it's specifically, oh my goodness, paper, junk mail that comes in the house. It gets me so annoyed to even check the mail anymore. And it's an annoyance.
What
do I say?
It's tipping over.
Maybe on the scale into a little beyond annoyance. But, we get so many messages about saving the planet, conserving by not using paper. And yet we get mailed at expense so much paper that I then have to throw away at expense.
Right, because we pay for our garbage and recycle.
Yeah.
And so it's a
cost.
And
it's something to sort through. It's my time. It's paper I didn't want. It gets me so maybe it's beyond annoyance.
Yeah, but I also know that it's annoying that we get all that junk mail. But it's also annoying that important documents get delivered to other homes.
I know. Well, that's a whole thing about the U.S. postal system. But we find like your new global entry card, which is very sensitive and important.
Lots of personal information connected to it.
Delivered to my mother's house. Thankfully, it was somebody we knew.
Yeah, but still, it was like, oh, what are we
missing?
Yeah, what's not getting? And one time, something was delivered across town to our street, house number.
I had a friend across town. This was years ago, but she lived at our same house number, but way across town at a street that didn't look like the name of our street.
No.
And she would several times bring me my mail we had kids at school at the same time. And she'd say, hey, I got some of your mail. I don't know why. But, so then you do wonder, how many other houses is my mail going to?
Where is it? And is it because we don't tip our mail deliverer?
Oh,
do we need to give jam out at Christmas time?
We get so many different mail delivery people. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But the clutter that comes, the clutter. I can't stand a cluttered car, a cluttered kitchen. We have literally many cooks in our kitchen now, which I really appreciate. But we also buy a whole bunch of different supplies and spices that have no room in my cupboards, so it ends up on the counters. So that's also part of your kitchen struggle.
Well, it's become, because before I would do the dishes and I could be very hyper focused of like dishes cleaned.
Yeah.
And countertops. Range top.
Yeah.
So I've kind of expanded in my ability to clean, but then I'm also joining into your clutter frustration.
Yes.
And last night you're like, hey, what happened to all the spice? Because we probably have 3 times the amount of spice compared to the
space we have
for it.
Yeah, where did you put all that?
We'll see if anybody misses it.
Now we're tipping into another annoyance when I go to look for something in my own kitchen.
Yes.
And I have to say to you, if I were a lemon zester, where would I live?
Obviously, it's the 3rd drawer down. So, and that is, it doesn't annoy, I know it might annoy you. It doesn't annoy me of like, we have intrinsic ideas of where things should live in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they're very different neighborhoods.
Very different.
Like, it feels like you put everything way down low.
You think?
Yeah. And I like it up a little bit higher to like one.
To me, it makes sense that like items are sorted with like items. All the things I use for baking, the teaspoons, and they all go in one place. But then I find other things jumbled in there.
Yeah, but I don't bake, I don't cook, so I don't have an intrinsic knowledge of where
you don't have the same sorting system.
So I feel like it feels about the same thickness. Maybe that should go in the same drawer. All these are wood things, and all these are metal things. Right? That makes sense.
Okay.
Here's the plastic things. So if you're looking for something, think of what it's made of.
That's something I never thought about. All right.
There's lots of ways to classify
things. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So the clutter gets both of us. And I think it's connected to, for us, if a space is cluttered, it's kind of a representation of our inner life. Like if things outside are somewhat organized, it feels like, we can breathe a little bit. The internal life is pretty organized. But if things are out of control,
it's reflective of we're just barely hanging on.
Yeah.
But thinking from a marital perspective, because I'm thinking about I'm thinking about I don't have anything bad to say.
It's just an annoyance.
No, but just how we have very different ways of loading the dishwasher and putting things away. And I think earlier in our marriage, it felt like a direct insult and
intentional,
not intentional, but like the neglect of like, well, I set up this kitchen.
Yeah.
This is the drawer that I like to find that in.
Why don't you know
You're
me?
not putting it there feels like an insult and a sort of intentional lack of awareness of my preferences or whatever. And I think a lot of people, that's why it turns into a fight.
Yeah.
I think we've moved way beyond that of like, I can see that this is never going to change.
Yeah.
I really do believe it's not an intentional thing to try to frustrate me in the kitchen.
That's right.
And so I'm going to laugh when I find the zester in the silverware drawer or whatever and just move it. It is annoying, but it's not a deal breaker or a like day ruiner. And it's just like,
you don't feel like I'm in, there's some intent that is.
No, I mean, I feel like you could change your sorting system, but.
Well, I believe my option was I could also stop doing the dishes and putting them away.
I see that would be one of the unfortunate outcomes if I made a big case of that too.
Like, so there's lots of options.
What can we focus on? I'm going to appreciate that you're doing the dishes, even if you don't do it my way.
Yeah. Well, but I think that's the thing. We both have intuitive ways to do things. We both have our family dynamic that we grew up in, but I think it's more just intuitive of the way we classify the world, that like you are detail oriented. You focus on things that are really, really important that I don't focus on. And I'm lucky to have people like you in my life, but I also have a very different way that can provide new opportunities.
That's a nice little spin. Yeah.
But I think,
Yeah.
but that's, I mean, that is how we've kind of like, oh, I can appreciate the differences that we bring rather than annoyance
Yeah.
that we don't do it the exact same
Yes,
way.
even though I will still forever be annoyed by finding things in my
Wrong.
definition of the wrong place, but it's also not a hill I'm gonna die on, it's just like,
Yeah.
that's one of those things that's not worth having a forever argument about,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, I'm thankful for
Yeah.
that.
And I'm thankful for you washing the
And I
dishes.
do, then I have had times where I get super anxious about like, where am I supposed to put these
You
things?
do?
Yeah. Haven't you ever noticed there's occasionally where I just leave them all on the counter with a towel on top of them? That's a moment where I've kind of just broken a little bit of like, I don't want to put these in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And I have no idea. Like occasionally I'll come out and be like, hey, I have a little orphan dish here that I have no idea where it
Yeah,
goes.
yeah.
And then you're like, huh.
No, I'd say, top shelf in the
Yeah.
right-hand cupboard.
Or
And
you just say,
or
just leave it right there. I'll put it
yeah,
away.
just leave it on the counter. I'd rather put everything away.
I'd rather go back to breathing. Can we talk about breathing? Can we talk about breathing? All right. So what number are we on?
I don't know.
Oh, I think I'm on number 3.
Okay.
Because that was
I'm glad we limited ourselves to 5.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. I'm starting to think of more as we
I
go.
know. This only snowballs.
Yeah. Well, we might have.
Okay. So what's your number 3?
My number 3 are meetings.
Oh man.
And unnecessary, what I deem unnecessary meetings. And so I work in the academy, which means all we do are meetings, which is really a bad fit for me as a career choice. Because people want to process things and everybody wants to be involved.
You like process.
Yes, I do. I like process to a certain point, but then there can be the paralysis of process.
Ooh, that's a good phrase.
Yeah. I don't know how to spell it.
I'm
pretty sure I would spell it wrong. But the paralysis of process of everybody wants to have a say. Everybody thinks they should have a say. And I don't think everybody should have a say. People should be in their lanes.
Okay.
I think about...
Is it partly about that and partly about just talking it to death about all the details? And
both. I mean, so... when a lot of smart people are in a room, everybody has their own specialization, but it's easy to think, oh, for me, I should have a say in what ways that exegesis happens in the Bible department. No, I shouldn't. Right. But I'm a faculty member. And so I want to have my say into that. That's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so I get frustrated by meetings where it's a pretty easy decision and we can easily move on, but everybody needs to have a say. And so when I run meetings, I have agenda item, and if somebody is just like, well, what about this? I'm like, we can put that on the next agenda item, but we're not doing that today, and we're going to be done early with our meeting.
Yeah. Your meetings get done early.
Two meetings that go too long, meetings that are too processy.
That didn't need to happen at all.
Meetings that didn't need to happen. Like just check-in meetings. Like, how's everybody doing? It's just like, everybody's fine. Now I'm not fine because I had other things I could do with this time. So I get annoyed by that. I don't know what to do about it because half the time they're meetings I'm leading.
Well, what I would find annoying about the way your meetings get scheduled where you work.
Oh no, that's a delight.
You love that, but you have people who have access to your calendar and meetings just show up in your calendar.
Yeah.
I could not tolerate that.
Yeah. I'm thankful for Christine. She runs my life so much better than I could. I mean, so there's an appreciation of like,
yes.
Before her, I would double, triple schedule meetings, which is not good.
I know that did happen a lot where you'd be sitting at home and get a call like, your meeting
where are you?
Is here. Actually, there's 2 meetings that are missing you right now.
They're both sitting outside your office. I'm like, hey, maybe they can meet with each other and everything would be great. But it's so I love that of just and the college we have that because it's difficult scheduling meeting with everybody's schedules. So
if
your
there's
calendar
an open space, it might just get taken.
Your calendar is opened, and so if you don't fill that time, it can be filled by others. So yeah. it makes it an adventure. Occasionally, I've stepped out of a meeting and thought I had an hour, and then there's another meeting right then. And so it's an adventure. You never know what's going to happen. And I think that would kill you.
It would. Yeah. And I don't like that. I don't like surprises. Yeah. I don't like somebody else telling me what I'm doing with my time. I like to have some say in that, a yes or no at least. Anyway,
so that's the perfect segue to our next one. Oh, okay. To your number 4. Oh, people telling you what to do.
That's true. They go together.
What you just said goes with this one, but this one is. If there is an irrational annoyance, this one falls in that.
You think this is irrational?
I do. I have a
4-way stops.
I find it really funny, and I don't understand it at all.
Okay. Well, I think people are going to relate to this.
People are trying to be helpful.
Okay. So let me explain. Okay. So if you live in Europe, you have roundabouts. When traffic all comes to, 4 different lanes of traffic come together, you go around a roundabout to get to where you're going. In the US and a lot of other places, we have 4-way stops most of the time.
Yeah.
So everybody has a stop sign, everybody has to stop, and there's some sort of order as to who goes first. If cars arrive at the same time.
Would you like to know that? I know the rule here. So
did you look it up and make sure it's still up to date? Because we shouldn't say this if it's not correct.
Well, it'll be interesting then the next time we're at it, if people take our advice. But first off, so some of our international friends, stop signs are just suggestions in their countries. Here, stop signs are
mandatory.
Signs. You have to stop. You can't look both ways.
Even if there's no cars coming. They'll have to stop.
Still stop at the 4-way stops.
Yeah.
So when you come to a 4-way stop, if you come at the same time, it's the person to the right has the right of way. So the cars, if you and you're coming in from.
But if we're coming directly at each other, then everybody's to the right.
if you're coming, well, if 4 people show up at the same time, then someone's going to have to be helpful and say, why don't you go first? But if it's head on, right? So I'm driving north, you're driving south, we come at the same time. Whoever's going straight has the right of way. If the person's turning left, they have to give way.
Right. But if you're both going straight,
then it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Then it doesn't matter. Okay. So,
but if you're at 90-degree angle, the person to the right has the right of way.
Okay. So it's rare.
It's weird that I like these rules.
Yeah, it is. It is strange. That is a strange anomaly in your system.
I love rules. I like the roundabout rules. No, just drive. Just
rules of the road.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So
4-way stops. Why are you annoyed?
I feel like it used to be before people had cell phones in their car and stuff. It used to be more orderly. People would arrive at the 4-way stop. Rarely do you stop at exactly the same moment. Usually somebody kind of rolls to a stop first. That person gets to advance next.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like lately some people use the 4-way stop to look down at their phone and text, so they might have arrived there first.
Yeah.
So people are waiting for them to go through because they saw that car stop first. It should be their turn. They're not going because they're answering a text or something. And so now nobody knows who's supposed to go.
Right.
People are trying to go or trying to wait. But often I'll find that I arrive. I sometimes even plan it to arrive. I see somebody coming at the same time. I stop after them so that they'll go ahead
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they will. This is what really annoys me is the gesture.
You have to see
if you're not watching,
YouTube,
they're making
hilarious.
A little wavy hand,
and it's usually out this way out. Yeah,
telling you, no, you go ahead. No, you go ahead, and it's breaking the rules of the road, and it's making everybody confused. And if they got there first, they should just go. So but you even play with this, like
I do.
You will if somebody else arrived there first and you arrive second. You put your head down.
They wave me on.
You just stay. You have no problem with just waiting it out.
No, they flash their lights, and I will sit there until the Lord comes again, and because it's their turn.
Yeah.
But you get angry.
Okay, maybe I tip beyond annoyance sometimes. I just find it just just go with the way, because
I
now
think you
everybody.
say, don't tell me what to do.
Do I?
Because I've gotten to be a passenger more.
That's right. Now that I drive you around.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
So yeah. So maybe some days it's a little beyond annoying, but I do four-way stops and the way people handle them can be really annoying.
Well, and it is that they're not following the rules. If they would just, everybody would just go by the rules, it would be fine. But they're trying to be helpful, but you see it as something different than helpfulness. It's not being
helpful. It's changing the rules and then telling everybody else how to do it their way. Well, and I think I think when I started to be, I think this is the timing of it, is when our children started to drive.
It is. You are right.
Right? Because before that, you're just like, whatever, I'll wait it out. It's fine. But when you're teaching a 15-year-old to drive, and in their mind, they've just been taught all these rules.
Yeah.
And they assume everybody else is going to follow these rules. And if that's not true, then it's a lot more chaotic on the road. And I'm much more worried about them getting hit by somebody because they're assuming that person is going to stop at the stop sign or whatever, So I think that's when it started to change for me.
Then it changes the rules, and we're not sure adolescents in their infinite wisdom can make that accommodation and that not do it the next time, kind of generalize to that situation the next time. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I think
but now it's personal.
Yeah, and I think it feels
because all our kids are adults. They're good drivers. They're taking care of themselves. But I'm still annoyed by people who wave me through a stop sign, even if they got there first.
Man, I can't wait to be on the roads after this episode drops to see how people.
It's fine. I'm not going to write you a letter. I'm not going to write down your license plate and send in what do you call it? A citizen complaint?
Citizen's complaint, or follow you.
No,
right? You're not a rage. You're not a road.
It does not tip into road rage.
I think you just say, "Don't tell me what to do,"
and then I move on with my life.
And then you move on until the next one, or when we're on a walk. This is
this is similar.
This is similar. So we're on a walk and we're waiting to cross the street, and there's no stop signs. It's just a throughway, and cars will stop and wave us across the street. That also drives you crazy.
I know. Just go. We'll cross.
They're being nice. They're letting us cross.
But that also started with a danger for my children, because they would ride their bikes to school, and when they're trying to cross, cars think they're helping, would stop to let them cross. But then other cars coming in the second lane don't see the kid on the bike and just go to pass the stopped car. And that's when kids get hit.
Right.
I just think if everybody follows the rules and they let us cross when we cross, don't stop in the middle of a road, it's safer.
I love that you have a big picture on that. So I'm just thinking about the moment of great, we get to cross the street. You have this larger perspective of this one event has ripple effects in terms of patterns and rules, and it makes a lot more sense.
Then our children expect people to, if one person stops, they expect people to stop. It just.
Well, and we live on a college campus where students walk in front of cars all the time. And so there is that too.
And you don't see the car that is just passing that stopped car. And then I've seen bad things happen.
I think people in our town are also annoyed by pedestrians just stepping out in front of traffic and expecting cars to stop.
That's annoying too.
So
let's not roll down that.
That's another annoyance. And I like to see how close I can get to the pedestrians when they do that. And then when they're
how they know you're there.
Then when they're a student of mine, then it's an awkward moment. We make eye contact. And it's like, we're going to have to talk about this.
All right. Your turn.
All right. Number 4 for me. I don't know. I have 3 number 4s. So, wait staff checking before my food is even tasted, saying, how is it? That annoys me. Greeting cards, just in general, greeting cards annoy me. And yard signs, political and athletic yard signs annoy me.
One of those.
So which one of those should we talk about?
I don't know.
They all get me pretty good.
Yeah.
So this is and it's kind of it's kind of all the same. They feel all of them feel intrusive.
I see. Yeah, the one I see the annoyance on your face more is the waitstaff one.
Yeah.
So, and partly because we got used to a different pacing in, international meals.
Yeah, but even with that aside, like they bring your food, they step away, there's like 3 beats.
They come and say, "How is everything?" And you haven't even lifted your fork off the plate for the first bite yet, and you don't hold back your annoyance.
No. I'm like, "I don't know. Would you like to try it and tell me?" And that's never good.
Although, like, well-meaning.
Really? I think it's rote. I don't think there's any intent in it. Like,
or just observe and see if we've eaten anything.
Yeah. What would, if I said, no, this doesn't look like what I want, what would they do?
I guess they would ask if you want it replaced.
Oh, well, then I would say I haven't tried it yet. So yeah, that annoys me, but I think I want to talk about greeting cards.
You just can't pick one. Okay.
Because greeting cards annoy me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to say this. It just annoys me.
Number one, they're overpriced.
Yeah.
Like if you buy a
$5,
greeting card in the store for a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather, and I think it's a love language thing. I would much rather spend time with you than have a card saying something nice. It's like, okay. And just send me the cash. I mean, part of it was I would be happy if I got a blank, an envelope with my name on it, address, stamp, and I just open up and there's cash in it. No cards, just cash. Whatever you would spend on a card, just put in the mail and send to me as cash, like a $5 bill.
All right.
That would be better. And I don't know why it's so annoying.
Yeah.
And I realize now that I'm saying this, I will never get a card again.
Well, your mom loves to send cards.
She does, and I love her.
Really nice. She remembers everybody's birthday, and she sends cards. But that's just not the way you need to receive the love.
No,
you're fine if a card is missed as long as you get to talk to her on the phone.
Yep, or Zoom, or spend some time together. Those are the ways that I connect. And so, but yeah, all 3 of those are just kind of feels like uninvited intrusion into my life. Where
we will never put a yard sign. We've been asked by people who, for political candidates or for, I don't know, lots of causes.
We're right on the commuter.
Yeah. The only time we've ever put a yard sign in our lawn was when they sold them for our kids' sports teams.
Yeah.
And even then we were annoyed by ourselves for having it in our yard.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. The other time I can remember another time, and it kind of goes up against my Dutchiness.
Oh, what was that?
It was when we got a cheaper rate on building our garage if we advertised.
Oh, we had to put the builder sign.
Cut off a percentage of, and so I'm like, oh yeah, the financial benefit outweighed the annoyance of having a yard sign, but I did keep it the minimum amount of time and then tore it out.
Yes.
So,
well, you snuck 3 in there for your number 4.
Yeah. So that was my number 4.
And I'm going to end with my number 5, which is the pettiest, silliest, weirdest annoyance of all. And maybe somebody can shed some light on this. I don't know why this annoys me. And if you do this thing, I have nothing against you. I don't. No, I really don't. I don't. It's not a personal thing. I don't know why it annoys me. So my final annoyance is ducks in Jeeps. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, I just highlighted this week talking about this to you and our children. None of them had ever noticed this, and now they're all noticing it everywhere.
I took a picture of a random car on
I know, we're not going to publish that. Maybe. But now you see it everywhere, right?
Yeah, I did. So, I could not believe that was a thing.
Let me explain if people don't know. So if you drive a Jeep, a Jeep brand car.
A Jeep.
There's a thing where Jeep owners give each other little rubber ducks So I don't know how it started or what it means or why. That's not what annoys me. I just don't know why it annoys me to see this. Maybe it's the clutter thing, this line of different colored rubber ducks in the dashboard of every Jeep I pass. And it just makes me like, I would never buy a Jeep now because I don't want people to leave ducks on my car. Because I think that's what they do. They leave, you look and see what ones they have and you leave each other a duck. You got to carry ducks on you all the time. I don't know how it works or why, but now every time I see a Jeep,
you have a pocket full of ducks driving around.
Why? It's irrational. It makes no sense, but it's super annoying to me.
How do you think those ducks stay on the dash? Like I put my Bible up on the dash when we drive on Sunday to church, and you get annoyed.
I do,
and it falls off.
Don't put it up there. It falls off as soon as I turn the corner.
So how did the ducks stay?
Probably sit between the windshield and the dash and wedge them in there.
Oh, those poor ducks just wedged.
I don't know. Maybe they glue them. That would be even worse. That would be so annoying. I don't know what it is, but it's some cultural little thing that has gotten carried on among Jeep owners. Now I didn't want to look it up before this.
Yeah, but I think we'll have to put it in the show notes.
I'll have to find out what the origin of it is. Yeah. And I'm sorry, if you drive a Jeep and you love that, that's awesome. I'm sure it's fun for Jeep people. It just drives me nuts.
Well, it's the same thing. Like back in the day when we first were married, bumper stickers. You're not a big fan of bumper stickers either. So it's kind of the modern day 3D version of a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
Devour. What was I saying last night that we should have our bumper sticker? Devour.
No, that's a line from a show we were watching, and we're definitely not printing that.
Okay. But you don't want anything on your car, like bumper stickers.
I like it clean. I don't even like the, around the license plate, they have the dealership's name.
Yeah,
I took that off right away and put no printing on it.
You don't like messages like advertising on your car.
No.
And the ducks aren't advertising. They're not harming anybody. They're just sitting there.
No, they're not. That's why it's irrational. I'm not harming anybody. They're cute. They're colorful. I should like that. Yeah. I just don't. I don't know why. I did have a magnet on my car once that said doula.
Yeah.
And because you can take it off. I would not put a sticker on my car.
Right.
But I had a doula magnet on there because I liked to explain. Actually, I got a client from it once who left me a note on my windshield. I came out of the grocery store and I said, "We've been looking for a doula." They hired me. Like it.
Really?
So,
because
I made money on that.
On the back of your car.
Yeah, and I made some wonderful friends.
Yeah.
But no, I usually use it as try to explain why I might be speeding to the hospital, even though most cops don't understand what a doula is or whatever.
It's a way to get out of
it in a car wash once, and I've never replaced it, and I'm not going to.
I did put a Mastodon sticker on or magnet on your car at one point.
I think I took that off real fast
right away.
Yeah.
So you like clean lines.
Mm-hmm.
You prefer not to have clutter.
Mm-hmm.
And the ducks are just annoying.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're all different kinds. They're like different colors.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't need to go any deeper into that strange quirk of mine.
Look in the show notes to see where it came from and why it exists. We'll let you do that.
Did you finish your number 5?
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay.
I did 3 number 4s.
That's right. You squeezed some extras in there.
I did. So I thought about this yesterday because I went to pick up some groceries. So I love to go and do errands, and so. Is that how do you spell errands?
Mm-hmm, you said it right.
Okay, good. Now I'm like, oh no. And you usually just verbally say, hey, we need this, this, and this. And by the time I get to the grocery store, I have completely forgotten. There have been times when I'm standing in an aisle, taking pictures, texting back to you. What was I supposed to get?
I always put it in a text. But I think you often forget to look at your phone.
I don't look at it. And then it's like, I need cornmeal. And then I go to the aisle and there's like 27 different types of cornmeal.
Yeah.
And so then I take a picture and send to you. And so that's just annoying. Forgetting is annoying. And, and then I'm like, well, while I'm here, I might as well get a few other things, which I think leads into your number 6 annoying when I come home with.
No, I find, so you talked about adventure. I
Yeah.
find that very adventurous. If I send you to the store for 3 things that I forgot,
Yeah.
you'll come back with 3 bags full of interesting things I never would have thought to buy.
Yeah. Well, this last time it was a frozen rabbit. It's what I brought home.
See, yeah, adventure is a generous word.
Well, it'll be good. We're going to have paella. And so, but
Yeah.
yeah, just forgetting and replacing. So instead of cornmeal, we came home with a frozen rabbit. And so this is what it's like to live with me. We have lots of
always an adventure.
Always an adventure, sometimes a little annoyance, but a lot of giggles. And I think we've learned to handle life's annoyance by acknowledging. I mean, it starts with acknowledging them. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what's going on for me, and letting the other know. And we can be playful about it. We can laugh about it. We can be thoughtful about it. I mean, I can think of, I have another whole episode of things that we probably can't talk about on the podcast, but that are annoyances as well. But it makes life interesting, and being able to appreciate and not blame. Like, I think you highlighted that a lot.
Yeah.
We're not blaming people.
No, and that's why it was hard to hold in things that, just like the breathing thing, but then you can see that I'm annoyed. It's better to voice it.
Yeah.
And then just,
and then we can have
deal
a
with
conversation
it.
around
We have a
it.
conversation around it, then we let it go. And then it's not just me fuming on the couch across from you.
And it depends on the day. Like, if it's a good day, it's a funny conversation. If we're both stressed, then it becomes a fight. It's just a reason to fight.
That's a good point, because then, on the days when you're low resourced, when you don't have good sleep, or you're already stressed, or you're hangry, an annoyance can quickly escalate into something more.
Yes.
So even having a conversation about it is best to do at a time when you're both in a good place, if possible.
Yeah, and this was a really good time and place for this. So we hope we didn't annoy you, and if we did,
don't write us a letter.
Yeah, we'll just giggle anyway. So we can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Yep.